Welcome back to the Sina Good Health Podcast. Today I'm with Matt Jewison. Jewison? Jewison. All right. So he is the owner of Anytime Fitness. So today we're talking to him about the realities of being a gym owner. So Matt, you want to start with just kind of telling me about your fitness and sports background?
It's always been part of my life since I was younger, playing sports, growing up. Fitness, I was, and still am, relatively tall, skinny guy. So as far as exercise and strength training goes, I kind of got into that maybe when I was 13 years old. At first it was more for sports and to gain weight, to gain muscle, and it just kind of grew into an overwhelming passion. But as far as turning that into what I do for a day-to-day life and for a business, that probably came after college when I was farming, looking to do something a little bit different, and went to school for marketing. And I came across this opportunity to open this franchise in Rochester and just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, kind of the idea for this podcast is just like, because I have a personal training background, and I assume a fair amount of trainers kind of have that dream of someday wanting to open a gym. So we're kind of giving people a look in the future of what they're in for.
Yeah,
so,
I like it.
So how did you make that switch about you go from being a fitness guy to wanting to actually open a gym?
That part's kind of, it's almost like a right place at the right time situation for myself. In college, going to school for business, I did a lot of research plans, market research, stuff like that, business plans, and they always seem to be about the fitness industry, just because that's
Yeah.
If you're passionate about something, it makes it so much easier to
It's
write
not
about.
homework, it's just...
Yeah, it's fun. So essentially I had been doing that. I always ended up doing research on Anytime Fitness, especially when I was in college. I think they were the #1 global franchise. They were #1 franchise in the US. They were like top, like the fastest growing possibly fitness franchise. Whatever it was, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
So I was always doing this research on them. I wanted to get out of farming. I was going to move to Rochester anyhow, and I was looking for job opportunities. I realized that there wasn't an Anytime Fitness here. It's a town of 110,000 people. It is, from where we're sitting here, 1 hour to the doorstep of our corporate office.
Right.
In Woodbury, Minnesota, which is, so close, and it just astounded me that there wasn't one here. So I started digging into it. I was talking to one of their franchise sales consultants. He got me connected with some other franchisees. I explained my situation. They're all like, "Oh my gosh, you found a market. You found a market like that with 0 Anytime Fitnesses."
This little town called Rochester, Minnesota.
Yeah. And people were like, I mean, if you're up for it, you got to jump on that. Like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
So I got maybe too overzealous, and I sold everything I had, and I put it all into this. And I didn't buy just like one franchise location. I bought the rights to the entire city. Just made sense at the time. Maybe I was a little over anxious, but now I have 2 locations here. All of this kind of came together at the right time, and I just decided to pull the trigger, and it's been incredible since.
So how long have you been running? We're in a second location in Rochester that you said just opened like 3 weeks ago. So, but what about the other one? How long have you been doing that?
So I've been part of the franchise for about 6-ish years, and that one has been open for closing in on 5 years. So I bought into the franchise, moved here, started looking for commercial real estate, built out the building in the end of 2016. I signed a lease, and then 2017 in March I opened the one down there, and then this one I opened on September 9th this year, 2021.
Okay. Tell me about just what is the day-to-day life or work, like what does that look like as the owner? Because that, just from a personal training perspective, you're coming from like you got a membership sales / personal training sales / actually training clients, and then just kind of managing, keeping an eye on the gym and all that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been a lot of hats in 5 years. So I mean, starting out with doing pretty much everything as far as training goes, selling memberships, working on your business as far as marketing and membership retention, and just really trying to grow your business, there's a ton of things you were doing there. That has evolved into where I'm at today is a lot more of working on the business itself and seeing where our leads are, doing goal setting, kind of delegating to my managers and trainers, and just kind of doing, I'm in both clubs every single day, helping out and making sure everything's running smooth. But it definitely is a grind to start with, and you kind of have to evolve. But I would say like when you start out, like, and I mean even to this day, like your best bet is be ready to be in the club, be ready to always be working, be ready to do your 12, 14-hour days. But when it's your passion and it's kind of your baby, it really doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about just how did you survive that first year? Because that's usually pretty hard for gyms and businesses in general.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I was 26 years old, and I jumped into opening a business in a city that I hadn't even lived in for more than like 5 months. Very daunting. There was no name for Anytime Fitness here, which, I mean, I don't know about your subscribers, but to me, like, Anytime Fitness is a pretty well-known brand.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure it's actually recording. Yeah. Before you're too far.
Perfect. So to me, it's a pretty well-known brand. And being from Minnesota, I assumed, like, oh yeah, we'll come in, it'll have a good name for itself. But turns out if you go into a market that there hasn't been in any time before, a lot of people don't know what that is. And took a while to get our name for ourselves. That first year, very grueling. I had hired 2 other guys, so it was me and 2 other guys working together for about 8 months, and then we hired on a trainer. The first couple months, maybe we had 20 to 30 people through the door, and at that point, you're pounding the phones, calling people, seeing if they want to come in for a tour, trying to kind of sharpen your craft as far as like closing percentage goes and booking fitness consultations and trying to convert to PT, as well as like just looking at your bank account and watching it go like down every single month until you're like right close to zero, and then things started turning around and we got in the black. I think it might have been 13 months before we started really kind of making money. We went down and then kind of leveled off and then started coming back up. But yeah, it was tons of stress. Making sure you have the right working capital, hiring people on slowly, very key for that first year. And not like a restaurant where you could open up and have 250 people through in day one. You got to build your membership base and make a name for yourself.
Yeah. So can you touch on like how did the pandemic affect the gym?
So honestly, I had purchased this lot as well as put down a deposit on the material for this new building 10 days before the pandemic closed us down. So I'd spent a bunch of cash. I was sitting there. They said we're going to be closed for 10 days. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of a bummer. I still kind of wish I had that cash that I just spent back.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, Minnesota had our gyms closed for just right over or under, I can't remember, about 3 months. Pretty painful. The government, like the paycheck protection stuff and the EIDL funding, both really beneficial. Helped us stay open. My guys were very receptive to, the day that we shut down. I brought them in and I said, hey, like, I gotta lay everybody off. Like, I'm not gonna be able, there's no reason for me to have anybody on, and there's no reason for me to be paying anybody, like, and then they got an extra $600 a week there. They're like, that'll work. I'll take some time off. But yeah, like, those 3 months were really grueling, kind of tough. Government funding was essential to staying open. But on the other side of the shutdown, I hadn't charged any of my members for the entire 3 months. I just told them I was pausing everything. Member retention was incredible. I think maybe in those 3 months we lost 40 to 60 people. And month 1 coming back, everybody was ready to get going. They had gained their pandemic weight or got sedentary. Or on the flip side, I mean, it was a beautiful Minnesota summer and there was people that were like, hey, I can't do anything else. Maybe I'll start biking or start running or start into this, health and wellness trend that is ever so important, especially when you're dealing with something like COVID, where definitely praise on the people that are a little bit less or more immune compromised. So people were kind of getting after that, and we ended up within like a month of being back open, we had more members than we had pre-pandemic. We had more training, and everybody was just raring to go. And then when we had our December shutdown, since we were shut down for another 4 weeks-ish in December, that one was a little bit less intense. We had our physical therapy that was able to continue through that, as well as they worked well with like some of our training clients. People that were really more at risk either started on a big journey and were hitting a lot of, or getting into stride, or people that really needed it for mental health, that were in really tough shape. Our physical therapist would see them, and we have clinical performance trainers. So these guys that work under the therapist license in order to facilitate training inside of our club. And we were able to keep some of that going. We kind of did a little check on that to make sure it was going to be kosher, but we were deemed essential in that way. And I really do believe for those people that were able to get in here for that 4 weeks, it was essential for them.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's huge. It's just like, I know if I'm in a depression or bad mood or whatever, it's like one of the check your basics, are you sleeping and have you exercised? And it's like, I feel better, huh?
Who would have thought? Yeah, no, it's great. It's as simple as that. Like,
yeah, and it works for everybody, not just people that have that fitness background. It's just
the endorphins are just crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's just literally just moving your body. It doesn't matter if it's lifting weights or just going outside for a walk or whatever, just something. Like Pokemon Go was 2016 or so.
Yeah.
Like when that exploded.
Right. I always loved that they talked about like that being the biggest health initiative for America. And I believe it. I mean, I got on the train for a little bit. I wasn't ever a Pokemon guy, but I got on the train for a little bit, and it was fun for.
I just remember I was coming home from a date and I saw a very tall guy running down the street, and I was like, "Is that my brother? Because he's 6'7". And there was some gym he could have gone and claimed, so he just ran out in the middle of the night, just down the sidewalk.
Yeah,
so,
gets people moving.
Absolutely. You did touch on it a little bit, like why the Anytime Fitness franchise, and is it something you'd want to keep expanding in Anytime or eventually have your own brand or gym?
Why Anytime? Honestly, I got sold, obviously, like I told you, I put a lot of eggs in this basket right from the get-go. The sales consultant was great, but when I went to like our new franchisee training, Chuck and Dave, the guys that started Anytime Fitness, and still are their CEOs, CFO and CEO, something like that.
I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
But yeah, those guys just, really sold me big time on the franchise, where they're always kind of looking at what's going to happen next. They're looking at, hey, how do we optimize this so that our owners can get the most profits with the most efficiency, and they're really just trying to give us tools. They're just building a toolbox and letting us pick what we need out of it, as well as just very forward thinking. I mentioned that I have a physical therapy clinic in my other gym, and the plan is to have one here. Those two marry up so well with our personal training and our functional training. Yes, I probably could do that on my own. I probably could go find a therapist to put in here, or I could be trying to do more functional training and turf stuff. But being part of this franchise, they just kind of put it on your plate and they say, hey, like, here's where we're going, here's an idea, do you want to run with it? And it really lets me kind of sit back into the office a little more and kind of look at how the business is doing and assess it more as a business owner than somebody that's out there trying to like revolutionize the fitness industry. They do that part, and then they give me the tools to
Yeah, and that's really cool. Like I've seen it a few times where there's either a physical therapist or a chiropractor that just either partners up or owns a gym and integrates that clinic, and it does seem like it's such a good combination because, like, and I guess I don't know about big picture people's path to getting into fitness, but like usually if they're not already a fitness person, but an injury, that's a potential trigger to, they go through the physical therapy, but then they get hooked on the training aspect and then they keep that going beyond recovering.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it is huge that way.
yeah.
Functional training, I mean, geez, like when you look at the general population, that's going to help 90% of people.
Yeah.
A lot of the powerlifting and strength stuff, which I would love to get people into, you can't really jump into that all the time. It's better off that you're going to be doing some functional movements. Maybe you're doing lunges, or you're doing kettlebell squats, like front squats, or kettlebell cleans or swings. Those are just things that are going to be a lot more of a compound functional movement.
Yeah.
That maybe you're a father and you're playing around with your 7-year-old and you go to pick them up. You're going to have the right muscle groups ready to go, and you're going to be able to activate them, and you're not going to get hurt quite as easily
I
as
just
somebody.
happened to bend over and tie my shoes and I threw my back out.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's like crazy concerning that that's an actual problem.
Yeah, and I've ranted in the previous podcast, just there's a lot more going on than just you happen to randomly, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, like kind of building off what you were saying, like I've focused a lot more on training for longevity and performance. I mean, heavy lifting, it's fun, it's great, I've made a lot of progress, but like I want to be functional, like you're saying, like when I'm 40, 50, 60, whatever, it's like you don't, like I think some people just kind of get to a certain age and just give up, and it's like, no, you can keep doing this. And the other part was, when I was first job shadowing for personal training, the client said to me, be afraid when the trainer hands you the light weights.
Yeah, and that's incredibly true. Like,
yeah.
I see it every single, well, maybe not every day, but most days, every week probably, that somebody's like, oh, that's lightweight, and you see the trainer's eyes kind of light up, and they're just like, you don't know what we're doing with this yet. It's gonna be...
And yeah, with my own training, I focused a lot more on like muscle articulation, like just making sure you're using the right muscle to do what you need versus just doing whatever cheat curls to just get it up. Like, yeah. So.
Yeah, the numbers are far less important than what it
like how you do the movement.
Yeah, and how it portrays to day-to-day life. Like an easy bar curl is like, really? Are you gonna? When's the next time you're curling like 70 pounds? Like, probably never.
Are there any like classes or equipment you'd like to add, or do you have like just kind of a running list?
Yeah. So the guys that work here have a Google sheet, and when I come in, I check it, and it's a list of need now and need in the future.
Yeah.
And like the need now is usually I usually am pulling things out of the need now and putting it in the need future. Like, we don't need 2 more battle ropes, like we have some. Like, although you saw that when you came in, I had 2 more battle ropes. Sometimes a cave. But yeah, there's always stuff that I'm looking to add. That other club I've had for, like I said, almost 5 years, and it's just, I would say with every month, every other month, we're adding either something new or replacing something or getting a better version of something. And that's kind of the idea here too. I put together, in my opinion, a really stellar club.
Absolutely.
I think it's great. I love working out here. I feel like I can do everything that I need to do.
Yeah.
But you have the client that comes in and says, I would love if you had this. And then I put it on the list.
Yeah.
And then when I have 20 people say, hey, I'd love this, then I'll get that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because like the Anytime Fitness in Shakopee had a punching bag, and there was myself and a Muay Thai guy that would use it a lot, and then I actually started. I would ask clients if they wanted to learn how to punch, just because it's fun, and like anybody that's done rounds on a bag, like that gets you out of breath quick.
Yeah.
So,
That's another functional one, just solid.
Do you have like any kind of fitness philosophy?
My philosophy on joining a gym is that this can help quite literally anybody at any stage of their life either live or move a little bit better. That's kind of my philosophy on that. But I'm also the type of guy that, like, I live and breathe fitness, and I do what I do, but I don't go broadcast it. I'm never gonna get in somebody's face and say, you need to be going to the gym, because I also think, yes, this can help everybody, but it only is gonna help the people that are ready to come in here.
Yeah.
Because if I go out to that corner and I start waving in cars and being like, you're now a gym member, you're gonna keep a third of those people, less than probably, maybe 10% of those people, because they're gonna come in and be like, I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
So really, I think the best way to do it is you kind of live and breathe health and fitness. Like when I go out golfing, or if I go for a run with somebody, or if I go on a bike ride, I think that people probably notice, like, oh, that guy's not out of breath, or that guy's
Yeah.
And I think if you just kind of wear it on your sleeve and live a healthy life, people will kind of get to know that, and then maybe make that choice consciously on their own. And then once they're in here, it's just, what can I do and what can we do as a club to keep you here, to finish those goals we're looking at getting, and just move better, live better, feel better.
Yeah. Well, and a big thing is, like, you don't need, I mean, for people like us that kind of are, fitness is a big part of our lives, but you don't need that to be healthy. Like, you can have it just, you work out, and let's just say an hour a bunch of days a week, just being active, and you can actually live the rest of your life. You don't need to live in the gym and be the hardcore obsessed protein.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have somebody, and we have people this way, that are in here 3-4 times a week and they do everything right, but they might go binge drink on the weekend, and they might be eating frozen pizza every night. It's like, this isn't a cure-all, but it's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
As you know, going at, like, being a personal trainer and going through physical therapy school, like, you see all these people that are getting hurt in obscure ways that just is super preventable.
Exactly.
And this is the way that you prevent that. This is the way that your body moves the way it was designed to move, and that's awesome. But also, like, we gotta be healthy eating our food. We gotta be healthy with our sleep. We gotta be healthy drinking water. It's insane. Like, I think it's like 80% of the U.S. population is chronically dehydrated. It's like, that's such an easy step.
Yeah. You hear it every news story or whatever, is drink more water. But like, I don't remember where I heard it or read it, but it was the thing that's like, after personal training, the trainer would say, okay, now you got 23 hours to screw it up.
I like it. Yep.
But the other thing was, like, I don't know if you've read Kelly Starrett's book, The Supple Leopard, or Becoming a Supple Leopard, but he talked about how the gym should be kind of like how did he word it? It's like a testing ground to kind of see your deficiencies with movement and kind of work on those, instead of just trying to work on. And I think the context is, if you're doing a sport, and that can even be like a hobby level thing, like, it's like, I'm personally into MMA, so my weightlifting and more traditional working out is kind of geared towards enhancing that performance, along with fixing mobility issues or whatever. So it's kind of having a specific, if you want to call it an intention or whatever, just so you're not just kind of, okay, I'm going to come in here and do some curls and do some treadmill and whatever. It's like having that plan.
Yeah, intentional workouts are incredibly important.
Can you touch on what sets your gym apart?
Yeah, absolutely. So personally, the 2 gyms that I own put an incredible emphasis on being personable and coaching. So, like, those are the 2 things that I would say are like pillars in this club. Yes, we have tons and tons of members that come in and do their own thing. We really like to try to get to know everybody that comes through the door. I think that breaks down barriers, makes it a little more welcoming and comfortable for people to come in. There are tons of people that do it on their own and go do their thing, but we do, like, really low barrier cost coaching. So for $10 every 2 weeks, you get a coach that will message you every week. They'll build you a program. They'll once a month do that body scan, so we can kind of see how we're progressing, and just maybe nutritional guidance if you need it. But it's it's all about coaching, like kind of making it so that you have to think less about this.
Yeah.
So you're not sitting at home thinking, oh, what am I going to do at the gym today? You just pull out your phone and we've sent you a workout. And you go, great. Like,
Yeah.
come in, I'm going to do that. That's awesome. And then
Yeah.
they say, I know that Aaron or I know that Jordan or Luke or the guys at the other club are here for that question that I have when I say, okay, I have to do a glute bridge and I haven't really done a glute bridge. How am I going to do this?
Right.
So to me, it's just hugely coaching. The other thing that's a good benefit is this franchise is everywhere. I think it's the first franchise to be on every continent. Yeah, they did an Antarctica one. Yep, corporate did that.
Yeah.
That's a power move, man.
Yeah. That's the bragging rights.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got the 3 scientists down there. All right.
Yep. But yeah, so they're on every continent. It really kind of limits the excuses of like, hey, I'm going on a trip, I can't work out, or
Yeah.
you know, just this huge network of clubs. Anywhere you go, you have a place to work out. Is tremendously helpful.
Yeah. Well, I did work at an Anytime Fitness, and between myself and the other trainers and the manager, like we put a lot of effort into kind of making that, like I'll just call it a community. Like we just held like events and like had kind of group workout day event challenge, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was very fun, and like you're saying, like that's where the payoff of like you were working out with your friends because you all put the effort in to get to know each other, like getting to know the members and all that. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
very cool.
And I really love that. I don't know that that's necessarily uniquely specific to this club.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Anytime. I think that like it's what I love about it. The coaching I think is pretty unique.
For sure.
But I think like honestly, most gyms that I've been to, they have a community, and like that's huge. I really love it about most clubs. So.
Yeah. What kind of steps have you taken to make sure that the gym experience is positive for, we'll just say the majority, because there's always going to be that 2 people that...
Yep. Do you get into hiring later? Is that
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of it.
Yeah. Well, we can do that first. Like if you want to talk about your hiring process and like who do you look for?
No, that's okay. I can touch on some other stuff as far as this goes. The club, as far as how I make sure people are going to enjoy it, like I mentioned, putting the right people in place, that's huge. I have incredible employees. But then just making sure, like I mentioned, the equipment that I have in here, I really...
That's stuff you would actually use to work out.
Yep. Yeah. I think being an owner that isn't very active in fitness, it's pretty helpful. Almost everything out there is very usable.
Yeah.
And functional. Having a really clean facility, that's huge. I get it all the time for reviews and stuff. They always have clean in there. And that's just a sense of pride for myself. Mm-hmm. But it really goes a long ways because there are a lot of places that aren't.
It's one of those things that's like you don't notice it until it's a really bad club.
Yes, yeah. When you go to the one that's not good, you're like, oh man. And then it really makes you respect the ones that are. Mm-hmm. But then just being welcoming. These guys are incredible at knowing people's names, which seems so obscure. I was awful at it when I started. I was just like, oh, I don't know who that person is, and I'd have to look them up. But being able to just know a person and know a little bit about them, just makes it so that it's...
it makes a huge difference.
It does. And then, when somebody comes in, they feel a little more at home, they feel a little more entitled to the gym, and...
Yeah, it makes the gym less intimidating too when you have that connection with the staff, because when everybody starts off coming in and it's like, oh my god, what do I do? It's all intimidating.
Mm-hmm. And when there's somebody that with their head down in the office that you walk by and they never say anything to you, you're probably not going to ask that person any questions.
Exactly.
You're probably just going to go out there and get on the elliptical that you're comfortable with
in the corner.
Yep, for 20 minutes for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then you're gonna ditch the gym because you're like, I really was uncomfortable there.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to make it comfortable. The other nice thing is, being a small club, it's 6,000 square feet. It's not crazy huge, but like I said, we focus huge on personal training. We focus on member retention. We don't need quite as many members as say your Planet Fitness or some big box gyms, which don't get me wrong, like whatever gym works for you, go to it. I will advocate for anything. I'm never gonna go pull people away from
here.
Yeah, you just need to be moving. I don't care where you do it.
Yeah.
But the little bit more money that you're gonna invest into this place, if you're paying $40 a month versus $10, kind of makes you want to go more. We need a quarter of the people versus Planet or whatever club is charging low dollar amounts. And that makes it super easy to know the people that come in because we don't have quite as many members.
Well, it means you care more that they actually come too.
Yep. Yeah. We've got good processes in place to kind of try to make sure that happens.
Yeah. So let's go to that. Like, tell me about the hiring process. Like, what kind of people you're looking for?
Yeah. The very first person I hired, I met him when I was 16 years old. We pole vaulted against each other in track.
Nice.
We became pretty good friends. We were kind of from rival schools, but didn't really matter.
Yeah.
He was better than me, so I didn't really care. But yeah, he was just like a solid friend, and then he ended up working at an Anytime Fitness in college. And then, like I mentioned earlier, this opportunity came up, and I thought, oh, shoot.
You can swear if you want.
Almost tried to catch myself there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh shoot, like I want to do this. I don't think that I have the expertise to do this. Like, yes, on a business side of things, great. How to run a gym, maybe lacking. Right. So I called up Trenton, and I took him out for pizza, probably like 2 or 3 different. We went out to dinner like a bunch of different times, and he was in like a pretty serious relationship in our hometown area. And eventually he was just like, you know what, I'll do it. Like, let's go ahead.
So he had to chew on it?
Yep. I love it. He did. And when he was done chewing on it, he decided to come up here. So that was huge. He was really helpful. He had a criminal justice degree, so not
super relevant, but
not terribly relevant at all. But he has people skills, and he's similar to myself, where it's always been part of his life. He's always been working out, so the passion is huge. Outside of that, the rest of the people I've hired here, I really like to look for a college degree. I like to see people that have like a bachelor's degree or in school. I would say half of the employees have like an exercise science degree. Super great. I know that they are well versed in that stuff. I'm not necessarily looking for somebody with a personal training certificate, because I'll get those for them. Once they're hired, I give them a little bit of a leeway to go through that personal training program. I like to make sure they all do something that's nationally accredited, whether it's ACE or NASM
or
ISSA. Yeah, there's
like 4 or 5 main ones.
Yeah. Yep. But those ones they're great. They're accredited. They're going to be hitting all the right stuff. They're not. You don't see somebody complete it in 5 days. The course is pretty
rigorous.
Pretty rigorous. Yeah. So I like to get those to them after they're hired if they don't already have it. Some people came in and they were good to go. My first 2 hires already had it. Really just looking for somebody who's got some educational background. And then the huge one is how relatable or personable, as well as, so relatable and personable and coachable. Those are really big because we're going to try to kind of change with people. Yeah.
Well, and because like when I was interviewing at the Anytime Fitness in Shakopee, they talked to me and they were talking about how like they appreciated how normal I was compared to the trainers that were like focused on prepping people for like bodybuilding or figure competitions or whatever.
For sure.
And it's like the Anytime Fitness demographic is more, you know, lay people or just your average person that's just trying to be healthy and maybe get back into shape or whatever.
Yep.
And that's who I like working with, and that's who's here.
Yeah, you kind of have the average Joes from dodgeball type of situation.
Right.
And like granted, we have like.
I mean, there's going to be the buff people too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like this isn't the hardcore. Gold's Gym or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, it's just not. So if we have people that are relatable and that are ready to coach somebody from.
Yeah, they're not like the freaking drill sergeants.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Coach somebody and make sure they're comfortable.
Yeah.
That personality, that's one that you just can't coach. You know, if you find somebody that has a degree but can't talk to anybody, it's kind of hard to hire on. But
Right.
everybody that I've had, I hired a couple people that actually were going to the gym, which was kind of fun. They were members for a long time, and then I hired them on. But I feel incredibly fortunate because every time I've needed somebody, the right person falls into my lap, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
So it's been surprisingly easy to hire, but I don't think that's the case for everybody.
For sure. Yeah. So let's pivot into like the other big part of business is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of campaigns or approaches have you found to be successful?
Yeah, absolutely. So marketing is fickle, to say the least.
Yeah.
As far as like ROI and tracking goes, like you really just can't beat social media marketing. It's very trackable, it's traceable. You can see what demographic is interested in your gym. You get your price per clicks. You get all of these analytics just dropped right to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy. You know,
Right.
We're all on social media. I don't know. Are you on social media?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit here and
Not
there.
as much as I should be for a guy who does video stuff.
I like it. No, I mean, people just, they live their life on there, some people. So it's easy. It's easy to get in front of people. I don't know what the statistics is on how many people have a Facebook or an Instagram account, but I think it's probably pretty high.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. It's easy. Outside of that, really like our best bet is word of mouth marketing. People bring their friends in all the time because they're comfortable here.
Yeah.
And we kind of track that by we send out a survey every 120 days. If you're using the club, you scan in 120 days, you're going to get a survey, and it kind of is like, how satisfied are you with this stuff? And then it asks, would you recommend this gym?
Mm-hmm.
If we're getting no's, then we gotta change some stuff.
Yeah.
But if we're getting yeses, like that's vastly important to making sure that the people here are like willing to bring somebody else in, or even just recommend it. You know, somebody's starting to lose some weight or move a little better, or you're at your MMA class and you start whooping everybody's butt.
Yeah. I did have that because I started off, I was like 170, and then after college I had put on muscle and gotten up like 190. And it's like, whoa, Alex is strong now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you probably get like, hey Alex, what have you been doing? Or where do you go to the gym? And like, if we do our job right, likely we have however many members we have out there doing our marketing for
you, yeah.
For less than $0. They're still paying us.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I mean, I don't ever want to look at somebody like a dollar sign.
Like we're not actually using you.
Yeah. Unintentionally.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Like you just, if you do everything right and you do right by people, you should be able to gain some traction in that world. The other thing that's good is whatever opportunity you get, even if you think like that's not going to do much for me, go for it. Like go to a wellness fair, sponsor your local 5K, do things that just tag your name to something that other people are proud of, or that are doing the right thing, whether it's you know, the charity 5K or
just being in that community outside of like just the whole. Well, we're in Rochester, but wherever your gym is. Like,
Yep. Yeah, and if the people that you're sending to those conduct themselves very professionally, you get a good look at your club and a good name for yourself, and that stuff should help pretty well too.
Yeah, well, and then you also, like, you're not doing it for the image, but that's a perk or whatever as you're perceived that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
can you talk about your work-life balance with, like, I mean, I don't know if you're married, but like family time, hobbies?
Yeah. Honestly, like, this gym is pretty well my life. I will be here day in, day out. I absolutely love it here. I love the people. I love the people that work for me. I love working out, and I love running a business. Like, it's tons of fun, to be honest. It's hard work, but it's crazy rewarding.
Yeah.
So I would say there's stints that I'll put in 80-hour weeks, no problem, and just grind it out. Just always be working. But there's a rewarding side of it where if you have everything in place, you can step away. I would say my girlfriend probably would think that maybe I work too much. But we're also, it's easy to...
But if you're enjoying the game...
Yep, if you're enjoying the game. And she I mean, she won't ever admit it, but I kind of think she's dating me for the free gym membership. So she's getting a benefit out of the work.
Yeah.
No.
Just the one.
But yeah, like, there's a good work-life balance where I'm at now. Maybe the first 2 years it wasn't great, where I was just grinding nonstop.
Yeah. Like, once you're treading water, you're okay.
Yeah, once you're treading water, you're okay. And once you're at a spot here where, like, now I have 2 clubs, I'm not on the schedule as an employee anymore. I am still in the club all the time, yes, but, like, if tomorrow
if the worst happens, they can handle it.
They can, absolutely. And if I get a text that somebody wants to go golfing tomorrow, it's like, I'll check with my guys, make sure we're in a good spot where they don't feel like they need me to be there, and I'll go golfing. Like, it's it's solid. Yeah, or...
Well, and it's because you put the work in to build up a solid team, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yep. But in the age of technology, you can just always work too. So
yeah,
like, I think my girlfriend and I went to Iceland a couple months ago, and I brought my laptop. I had a couple of Zoom meetings with some people from corporate and did some emails and stuff every night. I would just be on my laptop and work on a couple of things. So, like, I don't know. I think it's the right thing to do is to disconnect and go find some peace or a reset somehow, whether it's mentally or physically, or if you're the type of person that likes to hit the beach and drink daiquiris for like 4 days, like, absolutely, it's very important to do that. But in this day and age, it is easy to work at all times of the day. So if that's who you are, and if it doesn't bother somebody else, like, it's gonna help.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just thinking about in the context of a gym. It's like there's, I don't know, what kind of stuff is like, because there's always something to do. So, like, what would that stuff kind of be?
So when I was in Iceland, it was part of it was just like opening this gym, as far as coordinating things with contractors, working with the physical therapy group on what are we going to do with that build out. There's always, if I pulled up my email, I'm sure I have stuff from I'm sure I have stuff from vendors or from corporate or from members. I'd make myself far too accessible, I would think. My cell phone number and personal email on my cards, and very easy to get a hold of. Or, I mean, honestly, what I would do on that trip is I would wake up, you're way ahead of them, way ahead of this time. So I would just wake up at my normal time, and it would have been like 2 a.m. here, and I would just go through all the emails from the club, so that when the guys got to the club, they didn't have to worry about the emails. As far as like new club inquiries, if somebody's looking to cancel, if somebody's looking for personal training, I would get all of those messages out of the way so that they could just come in and start their day-to-day stuff and have one less thing on their plate.
Yeah. Sounds nice from an employee perspective. Well, and I just say, like, I know some gym owners that are more, they come from the business world instead of the fitness world. Like, it seems like there's that divide.
Yeah. Our annual conference is coming up in a month from today. And that's always an interesting place because you see both sides of that. You see the person that bought the gym because they're crazy into fitness and love it and love helping people. And then you also see the people that have like 2 or 3 gyms that don't regularly exercise and maybe are in their club once a week, or extremely absentee owners that aren't in there at all and just have like a management team in place. And I mean,
I don't know if I should say this. I don't work there anymore. I never met the Shakopee gym owner.
Really?
I'm trying to remember. I think I might have met him for like either an interview at the start or like an exit interview, or one or the other. But yeah, it was like one time across like the year.
Yeah.
And I mean, he might have been there when I wasn't working. I don't know. But, yeah.
Right.
So.
I mean, not to say that that's the wrong way to do it, because there are people that do this and have other full-time jobs. And
yeah, I do think it's a different owner now, so I'm not throwing him under the bus.
I like it. Yeah. I think, let's see, the Shakopee Club. I'm trying to think of where it was. I'm wondering if I've been to that one. Because there's a really good Shakopee Club, I think.
It's big. Like, it's a nice sized gym there. So yeah, we were talking about the importance of an owner, the commitment level. So
yeah, I really think, and it's probably just because I'm this way. Be in your club, get a pulse. You know, if you don't really know what's happening here, like, how are you supposed to make decisions where you keep the really good employees? Like, this person you don't want to lose, if you see them once a month, what are they gonna say in that one time you see them? Like, they maybe don't feel like they can open up to you, or don't feel like they can put all this stress on your plate. They might be like, everything's fine. And it's not fine. So.
Yeah, it's just, I just watched Office Space or something. Like, did you fill out the TPS?
Yep. Yeah.
But,
that'd be great.
Yeah. So I did read a long time ago, I remember there's this T-Nation article just talking about gym ownership and just the startup costs and frustrations with people being dumb, like in a gym. So do you have any like funny horror story type things? And if you don't want to throw anybody into the bus, we can cut this. But
I got a picture of them. This is the guy who did it, and if you see no.
We got a wall over here off camera.
Yep. These guys, do not let them back in. As far as like startup costs and things like that go, yeah, like my first club, like, I don't know if it was just because I was naive and didn't really know exactly what I was doing, but I spent way too much money opening that first club. Arguably, this might be a nicer club for a third less.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if people that are listening to this are wanting to start a club, I mean, either get a coach or do your due diligence. I think that's huge. It's really easy that you're gonna have a ton of people asking you to spend money. Say no to some of them. As far as like horror stories inside the gym go, nothing like too crazy bad. I've had some people put like a couple times like a barbell through a wall. Yeah. Everybody's fine. Like no major injuries. Nothing like terrible has happened. My other club, I have a vestibule in the front and it's all glass, and I ended up having to put like a decal on it because people used to walk into it all the time. and I had somebody walk into it and get a bloody nose one time, and I was like, that's it. Like, but they would just just smoke it. That was not ideal, but
Yeah.
that doesn't happen anymore. So I think we're good.
Yeah. Or like gym fails.
Yeah, it is. They're like gym fails. But yeah, other than that, like nothing terribly awful. The other one that I have seen a couple of times that just kind of makes me cringe. It's tough. It's like a slam ball
Oh, yeah.
gets mistaken for a medicine ball, or vice versa actually. So your slam balls are soft and squishy and full of sand, and when you hit it, there's no really recoil, it just hits the ground and stops, where a medicine ball is coming right back up. So I've definitely seen somebody hit themselves with the medicine ball. Not cool.
Yeah.
But day to day, everything's pretty solid. I've never seen any major injuries, and I think part of that is being accessible and coaching.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, you've got solid coaches from what you've said. So.
Mm-hmm. They're super great. So I honestly, while we're doing this, I just saw somebody go give somebody a spot. So it's like, if you are doing something that you're a little nervous about, we have people here, and we will clarify or help you.
Yeah.
No problems. So.
Yeah. Do you have any like words for like members or whatever, that just the stuff you'd want to get in their head for working out or getting the most out of the gym membership?
The members here or in general?
Sure. I'm running out of questions. So I'm trying to end on a good note.
I like it. As far as like members here go, like just come and talk to us. We're always here to help. If you ever feel lost or like your workout got stagnant or you're just like not really enjoying things anymore, we'll just take some time to sit down and talk to you. It's not going to cost anything for us to try to help figure out what our goals are, what we can do to help get you back on track. Maybe you're just kind of like going through a tough part of your life. Like, we're here for people. Like, that's quite literally what we do, is try our best to help people live a better life. And it doesn't have to be, like we've talked multiple times, it doesn't have to be hugely physical. It can be very mental, it can be very personal, it can be a tiny little thing, or maybe it is getting into, I mean, we have a client that wants to do a bodybuilding show, and he used to be overweight, and he's in his 40s, and it's like, I think that would probably be intimidating to go ask somebody about, and we help him get ready for that.
Yeah.
We had a lady's dog die, and we all got her a card, and stuff like that. Like, as far as people that go to this gym go, like, use us. We're a hugely valuable resource for you. And if you come in and meet with us and you hate us, like, cool, that's fine. Like, just throw your headphones on, walk in, do your thing, and we'll leave you alone. But and then as far as like anybody else goes, outside of Rochester and outside of this club, like, go get a coach. I've had a coach most of my life. It really helps. Or a workout partner, either one. I mean, like, a workout partner is great because it just make sure that they're as dedicated or more dedicated than you. You don't want a less dedicated workout partner. Sometimes that's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, you want somebody who's going to lift you up, not drag you down.
Yep, and that's what coaches' jobs are.
Yeah. Well, and a coach, and I did do a podcast earlier about the value of coaching, but the point of the coach is they're an outside person. Like, you're looking at yourself, but it's very hard to get that outside perspective, and they have that, so they can kind of also make sure you're actually pushing yourself and getting real progress, instead of, I've been doing the same weights, the same exercises for months, and the scale hasn't moved, I'm not any stronger. It's like, okay, well, let's look at what you're doing and, like, figure it out.
For sure. And you and I are in the fitness industry, but a lot of people aren't.
Right, and like you were saying earlier, like, the coach can also just take the guesswork out of it for you and make sure that you just, if you don't want to deal with it, you just follow the plan and go. And it's like, that's it.
Absolutely. It's daunting if you don't do that, if you don't have a path. And if you try it on your own and you can't figure it out, like, that's the biggest thing, is to get a coach. Definitely not the wrong way to go to try it on your own, awesome. But if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, but if you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel, it's like
Mhm.
other people have.
Right. Yep. And I'm sure like I can think back to a time where when I was probably in college where I didn't have the slightest clue what I was doing. I was still going, but like my diet was garbage. I didn't know how many calories I was eating. I didn't know what my weights should be for certain lifts.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how many times a week I should be going. I didn't know how much cardio I should be doing. I just flat out didn't know. And then having a coach is just like, what do you want? What's your goal?
Right.
And I was like, I didn't think about that. I thought I was just doing this to hang out.
Yeah.
And then you put a goal out there, and then he's like, let's get there. And then you get there, and then boom, you're at a new goal. Or maybe it's like you and I have talked already, maybe it's more maintaining, or maybe it's more functional stuff, or you want to do MMA, or get better at it. And I'm a sucker for rec league sports. I enjoy playing them.
Oh yeah.
And
like pickleball.
Yeah.
I got into that recently.
Yeah.
A couple years ago and stuff.
They just redid the courts next to my house, and I'm psyched.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, stuff like that. It's a blast. So like, I like to do that stuff and not get hurt. So
yeah,
my coach is now forming things a little bit more functional than when it was more powerlifting and like.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, because for me, like, I followed I'll just say traditional bodybuilding and just trying to get as strong as possible for a long time, and I kept hitting the same weight ranges and across a lot of different lifts, and it was like, okay, I need to figure out, like, go back and, like, and so that's when I was talking about muscle articulation and, like, the weak points and just doing a lot more with the lighter weights, and it's like, just, okay, I've been there, done that with the heavy stuff. Like, again, it's fun, it's great, but performance and whatever, it's just, there's lots of different stuff you can try, and coaches may have that, because continuing education and just their own curiosity, they're going to learn about this new thing and like, hey, have you tried this? So,
yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, so anyway, I think that's about what I had for questions. So if you want to check out Anytime Fitness in Rochester, Matt and his team are here for you.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Alex. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I could probably talk for days about this stuff, so it's really fun to
Yeah.
have somebody actually sit down and talk about it for an hour. I don't usually sit down for like a full hour in my day, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of this, is just